Hello, everyone. Hi. I I wasn't sure if the music was going to turn off on its own or not, but um, welcome to our space today. And Jordan, I'm going to send you the invitation again. Wait, oh, I think I canceled it. Sorry, one second, guys. Mm, Okay. Um, Welcome, everybody. Thank you so much for coming. I'm glad to see all these familiar faces. Everyone, Jane and Jordan, thank you so much. Hello, Josh. Mary, how are you? All about, listen, I forgot what your name is, but thank you so much for coming. And Howard, Keith, Rusty, I appreciate you guys coming and spend the afternoon with us here for a little while. And today I'm excited because we're going to talk about it's the more fun, the things that I enjoy a little bit more with AI. And there's so much happening with the generative AI and things that are used to make the video, animation, voices, things like that. It's just amazing how many things have been coming out. But we also do have a couple other things that popped up recently, like the Bing Chat GPT and things like that. So we'll go over a little bit of that too. But today's focus is mainly going to be on the things that people are using to it's just exploding so quickly to make all this generative AI. It's just awesome. But I'll say quickly, I'm Heather Cooper, and you probably already know that. And I write about visual content creation in AI generated art, AI tools, and other content creation products. And I started hosting weekly spaces to talk about all these types of things and how they can be used for content creation. So today we're going to talk about this generative AI, and I wanted to share with you some tools that are available that people may not really know much about, so you can use it today for your own content creation. And there's just so much in the news about this stuff, and every day there's just more information. So we just thought it'd be nice to kind of come in and share what we know. We can all, please feel free to put anything you like into the chat. You can drop, if you've created something and you want to share that, please do. If you have a link to something that we forget to talk about or that we do talk about, put it into the chat, and just carry on the conversation there, so we can all kind of refer back to it later as like a resource, references and resources. And it just helps everybody. It also helps with the algorithm. We all can get some more views and engagement going, so that helps too. But please feel free to use that chat. If you have questions or if you need to speak, please, let me know. You can raise your hand, or if you want to put something in the chat, I'm going to check that, or DM me and let me know, and I'll keep going back and forth. Jordan's going to co-host with me, and Taylor will be here shortly, and she'll also be co-hosting, and we'll have some other speakers. And I welcome, we just want to have it like an open chat where we're just talking about, there's so much out there and so much we can share together about the different things that are available. But please use the emojis. Let me know how you're feeling, if you're reacting okay. If you can't hear me or whatever, please try to do something like that, and let other people know. You can share this space so that other people will know you're here, and that what we're talking about might be something that they're interested in. And so you could share that through a DM, you could share it on your timeline, whatever. I appreciate that. And the more, the merrier. And, we're just going to have a good conversation, and we'll get started. I wanted to say, Jordan, you want to say hello?
Yeah. Hi, folks. Thanks for joining today as well. And let's do some stuff about AI. Let's talk about it.
Yes. Hey, Rob. Um, Everybody, let me see here. Greg, hello. Lucas, thank you for coming. Josh, hello. Let me see. So we can start. Basically, I don't know if we could just say quickly, Jordan, I don't know if you want to do the overview of just what generative AI is, and how it's used for images, text, video, sounds, and just like a quick thing just to understand what the difference of that is. Like how does that work? Or Josh, did you want to say something? I'll say.
Okay.
Well, go ahead, Jordan. I'll say.
Yeah, let's get into it, and we can always answer anyone's questions. So basically, how almost any modern AI works is it uses something called a neural network, and it sounds very fancy, it sounds very complicated, but it is just imitating how our brains work and doing so in a pretty straightforward way. Basically, we have a bunch of people playing phone, and every person says to the other person to do something, and they might either agree or disagree. And then eventually, we get to the final person. The final person just shares their answer to whatever question began at the beginning. And how those work is pretty random. So at first you just ask the network to do something and it doesn't do it. And then you repeat this process so many times until it eventually by not specifically luck, but by many repetitions it learns that. So that's the general issue with most AIs, and that's why it took so many years before they were publicly accessible. Is they needed a lot of time for people to train them and to create stuff that actually solves problems. Not that we didn't have the technology, we had the technology for years, but we couldn't train it as well because it needs massive amounts of data and a lot of work to do something really well. But now we're seeing the results of many years of work for many people. And when this is used in text, you can do stuff like um, find out what every sentence means in terms of what is the emotion behind every single sentence, which is something very difficult for computers to do. You can create your own sentences or create stuff like spell checking, and you can also apply this to other mediums. For example, with imaging technology, we started playing years ago by applying AI filters to images, and that happened a colleague of mine actually launched an app for this maybe 7 years ago, and that app basically took a picture and made it look like a painting. So this very similar technology is used today, but we're now using it to create entirely new things. Of course, we can still modify images, but we can also create entirely new images, and that also. So this is Stable Diffusion, the new tech behind a lot of the stuff that we're using, and even Midjourney, which doesn't use Stable Diffusion per se, uses something similar. It's basically an algorithm that is designed to increase the resolution of an image. So you imagine you have a blurry old picture, and you want that to look like you just showed it on your iPhone. You take that, run it through the algorithm, and you get a similar result. And that is the purpose of the algorithm as it was developed. But then it turned out you don't need the initial picture. You don't need to start with your blurry out picture. You can just generate something at random. You can have a random, a random bunch of scribbles, and they can transform themselves into a final image that actually works. And that's how basically Stable Diffusion came to be. And after several years of perfecting it, now it actually can create some very amazing things. And we have other competitors to this. Competitors is a strong word. Other technologies besides that use a similar approach and make different styles of images. But this is just the beginning. We can now see this thing explored in animation. So right now you can instead of just making one image, we can create several images, and an animation is just a sequence of images. So we can just make animations, but we don't have to stop there. We can use that and create 3D objects as well, and then we can create the images that we kind of put on top of 3D objects to create those 3D things that you'll see in the metaverse or in games, and so on and so forth. Basically, almost anyone who has access to a computer can pick this up and create something extremely complicated that used to require a set of different people with different specializations that spent years perfecting it. And you can create something similar to what they do in a matter of a few seconds, and in many cases even for free, which is insane.
I know it's crazy how fast this this technology has moved. It's just like lightning from the last few months, really. From even just the image generators, the art AI art generators went from not really being able to make a decent face to making, supermodel looking images that are photorealistic. And the video generation is just insane that what's coming. But Taylor, did you want to say hello? Thank you so much,
Hey
Taylor,
guys.
for coming.
Hey guys. Yeah, no, I'm excited to be here today and talk, about like AI tools beyond just the stuff that, I think permeates our feeds right now, which is around, simply image generation and content generation, as in text based. So like the chat GPTs. So I know that Heather, you've been talking quite a bit like about how you can use these tools for like more than that, even beyond just the text, the images. But like there's animation now. I'm using it regularly for I think something that you mentioned to me, assembly AI. You had taught me about that one, and I've been using that for a couple different use cases, but mainly for like my podcast transcript summaries and for my YouTube audio transcript summaries. So, like helping me to write the description by using Assembly AI, putting in the MP3. And getting, a transcript and then also some of the summary points and the key call outs and things like that. And then I'm taking that and putting it into ChatGPT to help me with like my description. But I am really interested in learning more about the like animation side of things. I think that what you've been posting, Heather, is gorgeous. And as a cohort with an animation studio myself, I'm particularly interested in how creators can continue to like build on those things with some of the more immersive video components to it all.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I've been trying to share these things because it's just amazing what they can do. And I'll probably start with talking about that with the animation that I've been able to do with Kyber AI and Genmo. Also, Leapix is another one. Leapix adds the 3D 3D effects to it, so it's not necessarily making it animated, but it kind of you can change the direction of the 3D effects, and I can try to put that into the top of this space so that you guys can see what I'm talking about because that's and these are all free right now.
I'll
Kyber.
add some of those in for you,
Oh,
Heather.
thank you so much. I appreciate
No
it. It's
worries.
hard to explain it. They're all free. Like Kyber, I think you get 50 credits to start out with, and that's enough to make 5 different animated videos, sort of. I will call them videos, even though they're not necessarily a full video. But it's still it saves as an MP4, so I guess that still counts as that. But these things, they can take your image that you already have and they can animate those, or you can upload it into this app, or it'll generate a new one for you based in you're going to make the animation. It'll be based on the text that you type in for your prompt, so it's text to animation. So they're both of them, they can generate something and you just tell it basically what type of picture you want, if you have a subject that you want it to a description, or you can just say what your image is, and they put that in as a description, and then you pick which style. For Kyber, you can choose which type of animation you have. And I did a thread recently to show all the different types, like art nouveau, pop art, and things like that. So Genmo doesn't give you as much, you don't get a selection of what type of animation you're going to get, what art style, but you can paint with the video. So Genmo has a new feature where you can animate certain sections of your image. And on the one that Taylor just put into the top of the space here, it shows you where I just animated the water to make it move. So that's kind of a cool feature. Right now, neither one of them, I don't believe you can add music to them yet, or audio, but I think that's coming pretty soon. And Leapix, theirs is it's pretty interesting how theirs works. Recently, also Phygital Plus is a new platform, and they have some pretty amazing things. And that's I use them they have several neural networks and different programs, different apps that are available on their platform. It's in a canvas. And I animated my avatar. I forgot to put that on there. My profile picture, and it just made it start talking, moving, and it wasn't saying anything yet. But that's pretty crazy that I was able to make my avatar move and act like I was having a conversation. But they have that. That's a portrait animation. And then they also have style transfer, where you can take the one image and go ahead and put that into, you can transfer that style into another image. So they have all kinds of different things that are available, and it's just like, and it only takes a couple minutes too. It's not that, it doesn't take very long to generate any of these things. It's very user friendly, and it's just something that's out there that most people don't really know about. So I got lost Jordan there, but it's pretty interesting, all the different things that are available. Um, and their runway that now they're doing more where they're going into videos, so text to video, and that is going to be amazing because uh, runway is coming out pretty soon with theirs. I think there's a waiting list for that now, and I think some people do have some early access to it. Phygital Plus, by the way, they have a waiting list, but they're trying to open it up more. Um, and another thing, Leonardo AI, that is a very, very interesting site. I just have to, I can't, it's just amazing how much they can do on Leonardo. And it's pretty much a full platform for game asset development, but also image generation and editing. Taylor, go ahead. I'll let you.
Yeah, no, I've been wanting to ask you actually about Leonardo for quite some time. I'm not in there yet, but I'm, really like interested in the aesthetic or like the creative differences with some of those outputs. Like I'm a long time Mid-Journey stan. It'll probably be my favorite tool forever.
Mhm.
But like I'm wondering, just aesthetically, creatively, like you mentioned game assets with Leonardo, but like what are you finding is the some of the key differences? Are they both built on Stable Diffusion's model? You know?
Yeah, Leonardo is built on, it's built on,
Okay.
as far as I understand. The thing about Leonardo that's different is they have all these different models within there. So you can generate images based on, you can use the Stable Diffusion 2.1 or 1.5, but then they also have tons of other models that they've trained. There's some that are Leonardo, they're specifically from Leonardo. So they have their own fine-tuned models in different ones like the Leonardo Select and Signature. Then they have community trained models. And so I'm not as sure how many models there are available right now, but it seems like I want to say like 50 at least. And you can say you want to do isometric house, or whatever type of image. You can do that. You could do paper art, and you can generate things on all these different, each model, and they're all going to show up differently. And if you look at the thread that I put, I think Taylor, I think you put it up in the top, it will show like just for the castles that I did, I used a different model for each one, just to give you an idea of what the different, for the same exact prompt, what it could do. Another thing about Leonardo is they have prompt. It's like a prompt generator, or you can fine tune your prompt, and you put it in there, and you can have it expand on it, and it will generate 4 or 5 new prompts based on that. Or you can just have it just add a little magic to it. I think it says prompt magic, so you can generate a whole new prompt based on your description and have it just kind of add on to that. Or and then you can choose to generate each one, and once you generate these things, you'll get 4 images generated. Then you can upscale it immediately, and you can remove the background, so you can create a transparent thing, you get all 3 images will remain. So it's just kind of like, there's so much to do in there. So you can, of course, you can train your own models. You can build your assets, but also you can just make art. You can just generate whatever you want. The other day I was generating logos. because they've trained a model to make logos, and they'll specify. But there's some that'll make characters, some that are photorealistic, clay, like the claymation Pixar looking type things, the basic anime. There's like a mechanical metallic type thing. It's just wild. It's when you it's really unbelievable how much stuff they have in there. I can't. I'm sorry. I hate to gush, and I'm not getting paid anything, but it's fun to use. Please sign up for that early release. And once they open, I think it's going to be opening up to a lot more people very soon, though. But it's just a ton of stuff they have available in there. And then they have the community profiles, so you can look and see the community feeds, so you can see what everybody else is doing. And they have the Discord channel. But Orbify is another one that is not completely open yet, but it's sort of similar in the way where they have I think they said they have an image search engine that's better than Pinterest. I'm not sure how that works right now, but they also, you can generate your assets or images, basically whatever you want. But the difference with them is they're creating a metaverse. Basically, it's like a content layer for the metaverse, and you can create your own orbs or communities based on the social tokenization. So you kind of like mint your own section of land on their homeland, basically. So it'll be like on the globe type thing. And then you can just build a community with people, and you all are living digitally connecting in the metaverse. I don't know if I'm saying this all right, but kind of like that. So it's pretty interesting, but you'll have your own. It's basically like to give everybody more ownership of their assets, and just everything. You can go ahead and mint it, and just basically, it's an interesting concept. It's hard to explain, and I know he explained it last week, but I don't want to keep talking. Did I miss any questions or anything? I think I'm losing people. um, Anybody want to add into, because I'm just kind of gushing on about that.
I will add in that I'm actually very like fascinated in Orbify's model, because I feel like it's interesting to, like, I've been thinking about this a lot. We're doing this community building cohort right now, and so obviously the thought of like community is top of mind, but the fact that Orbify is able to bring together the creative aspects and like the technical aspects of creating AI art or AI images, and then marry that up with like building micro communities, all kind of enabled by like Web3 technology in a way. To me, that just lights up the tech side of my brain, as well as the creative, because if that's just the beginning of it, like imagine, what you could do with these assets that you're creating. They don't just have to go to die in like a folder on your computer somewhere. But you can actually bring them to life in different ways and mint them to a blockchain where you will see them, forever. Like they'll always have that address as part of the digital ledger. So I don't know. It's fascinating to me, and I can't wait to see like some of the more kind of creative, technical ways that people are gonna utilize some of this art beyond just like what we see in our day-to-day marketing.
Yeah, that's a good point, because it's not necessarily just for just game assets and things like that. It's basically anything you want to make it. And it's just, you can use it for whatever. And while you're in there, even for the Leonardo, I was using the different models that were probably meant more for game assets, but then I used them to create other things, and it ended up where I wanted to see how it would turn out. So that's pretty cool. A scenario too. I do want to mention scenario. I don't want to leave them out for the game assets, and that I'm not as much of an expert on that to be able to speak too much about it. But um, I wanted to ask Jane. Jane, did you want to? You've been using some of the animation and different things, different effects. Did you want to say anything about how you've been using that and how it's helped you with your content?
Yes, thank you, Heather. So I randomly, I'm a writer. My passion is writing, and I've always been wanting to like find new ways to bring my art and writing to life, because writing is just like, words, and it's just kind of dry, especially if, well, anyway. Then I randomly stumbled upon Heather's profile, and she introduced me to the entire world of AI, AI art, AI generation, AI animation, and looking from an outsider's perspective. I'm not a tech person, I'm not like any like that. So this was very daunting for me. So if there's anyone out there who's just like, a regular person who likes creating art for fun, it was actually very easy. Kyber and Genmo, I'm really not a tech person. I can't even stress that enough. But if I was able to figure it out, I think anyone can. You just kind of just dive in. It creates the most beautifully aesthetic videos, which you can loop, and it goes along with any kind of writing. Leah Pix is so cute. The 3D, the video it creates, it's also it's 3D like. It's only very short, but it loops also. There's so many ways you could use it. And between Midjourney and Leonardo, with AI exploding in the past 2 months, it's like everyone's been talking about Midjourney, and it does make the most exquisite photos. But what I've noticed is that if you're not good at like making prompts or putting words together and being extra detailed, like a lot of people are, you're kind of limited, unless you have like a list somewhere or someone who knows what they're doing. But with Leonardo, I was able to get whitelisted on their website, and I got early access too. And Heather mentioned that they have a prompt helper where they give you like 5 different like uh, types and generations where you can like explore it further to further refine and define your prompts to get a more beautifully pleasing photo. But more than that, even if you're not good at the prompts, which they help you with, Midjourney does not, their community models, there are a lot. I'm not even sure if it's 50, but yeah, maybe, but it's a lot. And it's like, if you just go through each one, it's like a whole new world. So for any true artist, it's like an explosion of creativity, and that's what I've really enjoyed. My top 2 picture generators are Leonardo AI and Midjourney. Everyone has to try those two. And in terms of video, it is Kyber and Genmo, at least for right now. I mean, God knows, in another 2 months, we might have like, 5 more companies. I mean, who knows? But right now, these are what I'm enjoying as a non-tech person. So, I can't even stress that. But yeah.
No, I agree, because I hope everybody understands. I am not a tech person or a artist. I have no background in that. So even that's why I try to keep showing people, because like Jane said, if we can do it, you definitely can. And I don't understand necessarily machine learning, have a very limited understanding of all that. So it's something. Um, Natalia, did you want to say something? Hello.
Yeah,
Thanks
hi
for coming.
everyone. Yeah, thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you, Heather, but because I, first time. What do they say? Long time listener, first time caller. So my background is actually in tech. I have had a long career building tech products and especially AI. But I'm now on a break and I'm just taking the time to write about AI, and I'm doing a deep dive into all of these creative AI tools, and I'm just enjoying playing around with everything. I think it's just really unlocks creativity. I feel like I want to become an artist. I've never had that artistic streak before. The question I had for everyone is, do you guys know of any resource that sort of sums up all of these tools and capabilities? Or are we still in a world where it's just changing so rapidly, where they're coming up one by one?
I think right now it's kind of coming up one by one, as far as I know. I'm trying to keep up with it as I go, and it's kind of, yeah, I'm not really sure, honestly, on that. Um, there's just
Yeah, I'm
so
thinking
much
of
out there.
making one. I'm actually thinking of making something.
That
But
would be
anyway,
great. That would be
sorry.
great.
I just want to say thank you, Heather. I love following your Twitter, and I'm just learning so much about the space from all your work and
Thank
experience.
you. Thank you so much for bearing with me too. I do that. I appreciate it. Thank you. Um, Amar, I thank you so much, Amar. If you could say something, I appreciate. Amar came in here. Well, we were talking about you on another space actually, and about the book that you wrote. You created the book and the illustration. So, if you could, you might have even more. You have a lot more information about how we can find out more about that. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, thanks for
Thank
having me,
you.
Heather. No, yeah, absolutely, and super excited to be part of this awesome community. A little bit about me: I am in tech, but as a product design manager, and AI and all of this was kind of new to me too, and just kind of stumbled upon it. But yeah, I published a children's book for two of my best friends. It accidentally went quite viral, and it was quite the experience, kind of going through the motions with that and hearing all the reactions. And then since then, I've made a little short animation with AI, and there's a Batman animated short. So I've just enjoy, creating with these tools. I think, like a lot of people have said, you don't necessarily need to be technical, and I think the magic of all of this is how any one of us is now empowered to bring our ideas to life, and I think that's really really special. And yeah, so just really excited to be part of this community. Thanks for having me up here. And yeah, happy to help anyone. If I can share how I made the things that I made, I would love to. And, allow you guys to also keep on creating.
Amar, I have a question for you. This is Taylor. We were
Absolutely.
chatting on Discord yesterday, and unfortunately, I had to jump off of that call, but it was me, you, Asher, and John, just kind of
Mhm.
catching up on some stuff. And you mentioned something that I found like really like fascinating, and I've been thinking about it ever since. But what, like, specifically around your reception after you created that book, which I think it's now on Amazon, right? I hope you're getting some
Yep.
sales from it, which is awesome. I know that John bought a couple copies for us, but um
Amazing.
like, what was the reception? I obviously it was very divided, right? Like, you had some people saying
Mhm.
things like this is not art and da 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 da, and then you have the other side of it. But like, beyond just the general social reception, like, what was the reception from the creative communities? You mentioned like
Mhm.
the studios were coming to you and things like that, so I was just wondering if you could touch on that, because I was eating it up yesterday.
Absolutely. Yeah. So one of the things after that reaction was I really wanted to understand how folks in Hollywood and other areas were, thinking about these tools, and, were they thinking about leveraging them as well. And through a few of my, VC friends, I basically was able to set up some conversations with folks in Hollywood. And one really interesting thing, one of them said to me was, they still have built all of this. If you think about Disney, you think about Warner, they've built this creative artistic talent over decades, right? The same way any company hires talent that they want to retain, they've got these artists who are creating incredible work for them. And so part of their hesitation and lack of wanting to adopt a lot of these tools is because of the way artists have received this. And, it might accidentally alienate the talent base that they've built up over a long, long period of time. Um, on top of that, one of the things that isn't necessarily as appealing to them is the speed of the process, because they're actually quite okay with taking their time to create something great. So if you think about, Warner and DC, and they released a Batgirl show, and they kind of killed it after a month because the quality just wasn't up to the bar. So if it takes about a year or something to make something great, they're more than happy to do that. And so it was a very interesting perspective, because I think we can get excited about the pace of how quickly you can make things, and the quality, perhaps not being up to scratch yet. But I think what's hearing those conversations, I think the main thing that stood out to me is you're probably going to see the rise of indie studios who are going to use these tools to speed up their process and put more stuff out there. And then you're probably then going to see the big ones see that as somewhat of a threat. I think until then, we probably won't see as much motion on that. But it's kind of like, arm the rebels and then you attract the empire. So I think it essentially is something like that.
I love that point so much, Amar, because as creators and like, so many of us are entrepreneurs or like solopreneurs or just like creating content online because we love it. And like speed and efficiency is always one of our top needs or requirements in our day-to-day lives because of our workflows. And, we don't have like teams of people. So it's like, let's go out and find the tools that can enable that efficiency for being creative. And it wasn't really until this last, like, I don't know, 6 months that everything sort of has been blowing up that I think this is why we're all here talking about this together right now, because we all have tapped into this in some way, shape, or form, and we see like the value of it. And so it's just an interesting dichotomy between like us as creators using these tools for the sake of efficiency and finding that value versus like the larger, macrocosm of all of these bigger studios and production companies who aren't threatened by the speed, and so they don't see that as the value. So it'll be interesting just to see kind of the
Yeah,
evolution of these tools that sort of navigate, or where the fork in the road is, if you will.
100%.
Now that's so cool. Thank you so much for explaining that. That's such a wild experience. And I think I read about it back when you did that. And I was thinking like, that's insane that, that people were pretty vicious. A lot of people were very upset, but it's kind of like,
Yeah.
you didn't claim to be in you described it as not being the author or illustrator. You said that you were the AI was basically, you're
Yeah.
directing it to do those things, right?
Exactly. I mean, I think definitely didn't claim to be the author illustrator, and still don't. I think it's essentially a creative director, if you will, or a publisher of the content, a curator of the content, if you will. And not that I did that particularly well either, since I did it in a weekend. But it was still quite the experience. But I have to say, I at the same time, I do understand part of where the visceral reaction comes from, right? It's you AI seems like this very abstract thing, and it's hard to it doesn't look approachable, and then all of a sudden you have this product out there in the world that is indistinguishable from something a human made, a children's book. And I think if that's one way to kind of freak people out, it definitely did that. And so I think that's essentially why that happened. I have to say the experience itself was quite a ride. It was my first time going on live TV, and they don't really prep you for going on live TV, and neither do they tell you what questions are coming. So you just have to put on your best poker face and try to do your best, which was quite the ride. That was NBC News. It was a pretty funny segment.
No, that's so cool too. This sounds like, well, you've gotten a little bit more used to it now. So you kind
Yeah.
of like perfected some things. I appreciate it.
Yeah, it threw me in the deep end, so
Yeah, no,
I
that's
kind of had
wild. I
to.
think people
Yeah.
also the people, I don't understand why, if people want to buy it, that's on them, and they're probably buying it for a lot of
Right.
reasons, and it's not necessarily because the quality of the book. Not saying anything about the quality, but I think like for me it'd be like the novelty of it. Like that's crazy.
Right.
This was all created by that, and just to see how does the AI translate things? How does the algorithm come up with the information and to see what comes out? It's just amazing. It's really wild. So I think it's up to people. If they choose to get it, that's on them. And I don't see why that would be an issue. Whatever digital product we're creating, it doesn't. I don't see why they would be offended by that. I don't think it's taking away from any authors or illustrators, right? It's not really the same
Yeah,
thing.
absolutely.
So no, that's so cool.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I know some folks have had their hands up for a
Yes,
while, so I
and
don't
I,
want
I,
to
I
take up
thank you so
all the
much. I
space.
appreciate it. And Coach, you've been waiting so long. Thank you so much for hanging in there. But go ahead.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, Heather, thanks for having me. Hey, everybody. I was just, again, cruising Twitter on a day that it's just been kind of crazy. I see Jason's on here. I think I saw Justine on here a second ago. So just wanted to tell a real quick story. Um, we were just cruising. Like, there's no plans to do any Twitter spaces today, but then just like amazing spaces have just opened up, and then I stumbled upon this one, and Jason just did his, and then Heather, of course, I ran across your thread, and that is awesome. And I love just this topic, right? Because in the space that myself and Jason and Justine were just on about an hour ago, there was a new friend, right, that we met on that, and she was like, I don't know anything about this Chat GPT stuff. I actually am kind of a little afraid of it, to be honest. And so it was just like, I'm told, like, Fridays are the creative days. Like, me and Jason were just talking about this. So in 15 minutes, it was literally like jumping onto her Twitter, looking at her banner. What does she do? And then she mentioned some very unique things during the space as well. Like, she quoted John Maxwell. She quoted Steve Harvey. She mentioned she had a 14-year-old son. And I was able to incorporate all that into an ebook that was created in about 15 minutes and just fire that off to her, and also include 25 prompts for someone in the technical recruiting space that can get them started, like how we've all started when we use ChatGPT. How do I even talk to this thing? And that was all done in 30 minutes, and that person now is dangerous to float in the AI space. So I just wanted to share a testimony, really, to what we all can do, I think, to make people, and I don't know if that's going to change her life or if she's just going to put that in the trash. But I think for me, at least, it it made me feel like I was making a difference with somebody. So I just wanted to share that. I'm just really going to go on mute now and listen. But I just wanted to share that because I think what you all here are talking about and sharing, it's a it's bigger than just saying I found a cool tool on the web or an app. You guys are changing lives.
Oh man, thank you so much for sharing that. I really appreciate that because yeah, there's so many things you can do with it besides just making content. And you can just, I mean, it's just an amazing amount of um, information that we have available in these kind of tools that we've never had anything like this before in regular everyday people's lives that we have access to. We really have to take advantage of that and think about how we can use it. Not worrying about what it's going to take from us, but just think about how can we use this right now for whatever in our lives, even if it's organizing your life, if you're getting stuff together, for meals or for your budget, whatever. Have it, chat gpt can create a budget template for you. It can create all kinds of things, a travel plan. It can, whatever. So let's just use it and see what we can do with it and make sure people know that it's out there and that we can use all this technology. Why pay for things when we can go ahead and just make our own e-cards or videos or whatever, and for our family memories or friends and whatever. Let's just go ahead and use it. um, Bluebird, you had your hand up for a while. Did you can go ahead and say something.
Hello
Hey.
there. I would like to thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. So I'll be doing two things really. The first thing is that I would like to recommend to you all a certain site that I've been using. It's actually an entire database that has all the AIs available on the net. It's called Futurepedia. It's like Wikipedia, but instead of the wiki, you replace it with future. You can search based on filters. There are free AI tools, there are paid ones, one with free trials and so on. I would totally recommend you guys start using it. And the second thing that I would like to talk about is I would like to share about with you all the ways that I've been using ChatGPT. And I've actually found a very cool way, to say the least, of how to use ChatGPT. And quite interestingly enough, one of you was speaking of Marvel and DC Universe and that sort of thing. And yeah, I'm a fan. I really love fantasy culture. And actually, quite recently, I've been using it to create my own fantasy world. I've been writing a fantasy universe for the past 5 years. I've been creating all sorts of characters. I even designed a map. I even created what you call unique languages for certain races. And imagine this much effort it took me 5 years to make. But then again, when I was introduced or came across ChatGPT, I had him write me an entire constitution in just 10 seconds. I mean, it's incredible how much how useful this tool is. It's quite unrealistic, even to say the least. I was able to make progress, more progress than I've done in the past 5 years in creating this universe and making it come into place. And the thing is, I've actually been in a podcast a couple of days ago when it comes to the AI. People were very scared about uh, AI tools, and they say they're going to replace human creativity. It's going to make it very, very hard for artists in general. Uh, but the thing is, when I went there, I told them this. I told them, no, it's not really going to replace human creativity. It might be smarter than all of us, yes, but no, it's not going to replace human creativity. But what I believe it did is that it made everyone equal in terms of opportunities and chances. Because when you have such a tool that can make it uh, easy to access large amount of information and even generate it, you become equal with everyone. And when you're equal with everyone, it means that you have literally no excuses not to be creating content out there, not to throw your name in the internet. So I would like to finish my intervention with a question. Do you gentlemen, ladies and gentlemen, obviously, do you really think it's going to replace human creativity or not? Thank you for your attention.
Well, thank you. I can say I think not. There's no, and I'm not. I think that it's overblown as much as any other technology that's come about. The driverless cars are not replacing drivers. Maybe in however many years, but I don't think we have to worry about that. But it's more like we need to understand how to use these tools and how to use them and to innovate and add more things to them so that it is available to everybody and that we can get it to the point. I mean, you have to continue having innovation. You can't just stop because people think that it's going to take their jobs and their livelihood. It's a new thing. So it's just one of those things where we have to learn how to manage it. Justine, can you please speak? I appreciate. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you for having me, Heather. Love your
Oh,
content.
thank
You
you.
know that. Yeah. So just to hop on to what Blueberg mentioned about the worry that people have about it taking their jobs and stuff, and I think to some degree it will, but the whole point of it is to free up our time so that we can do the things that we love and spend more time with people. So for me personally, if it took my job, I'm okay with that. As long as I'm financially able to weather the storm, so I can spend my time skiing and doing all the fun stuff. Um, but there's certain aspects of AI that will just not be able to replace humans. Like there's always that human element. Humans connect to humans, so yeah, maybe replace, once upon a time you'd hire a copywriter to do something, and people still do that now, but maybe it will change. Maybe I don't need help writing, individual pieces or whatever. Maybe I need someone who has a similar story to me to help me find my voice, to find how I write and stuff like that. And that's kind of how I see it. Making connections, connecting with people who have similar backgrounds, similar stories, or people who resonate with you and they can help you unleash your creativity. Because I don't think, even though AI can do all these things, I don't think humans will ever stop being creative. I know humans will never stop being creative. It will just be a tool. And yeah, I see Jane Jane emojiing that. So I'm glad that resonates. But that's kind of how I see it. I would I would still hire people to do stuff, but just in different ways. I'm interested in connecting and hearing their stories so that they can help me unleash my creativity.
Thank you, Justine. I appreciate it. Sumia, I apologize. I didn't call on you, and you've had your hand up. You were waiting for quite a while. Did you want to say something, Sumia? I think I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name incorrectly. Hey,
Hey, hello.
no, thank you.
How doing all, ladies and gentlemen? Hello. Hello.
Hello. Yeah, we can hear you. Go ahead. Or I can hear you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for giving me opportunity to speak here. And so I am a UI UX designer and doing 1.5 years. And right now the craze of Midjourney is going boom. So after reading article of Midjourney, just I go to the website how that working. So after visiting couple of article and whitest videos of the tutorial, I just recently purchased the standard plan, and I'm creating the all the stuff, and it is quite fun. And I think the thing is ki, AI will not replace human, but I think AI will do the work, and it will be very easy for like it will be very easy for humans to do some other stuff, and human will be more creative. As example, the product designer or as a UI UX designer, maybe I know the Adobe Illustrator tool. So as example, if I search to the Midjourney and I ask the tool about some any UI element. So as example, I know the how the Illustrator works, so I can trace it and I can use this thing to the company, right? So I can be a important asset to the company. As example, like I'm a UI UX designer, as I and I know also the Adobe Illustrator tool, and I can deliver some good illustration. Though I cannot sketch, I have no background of illustration and the art, but I can deliver pretty much thing to the company. So that's how AI who know the AI tool and how to do that things. So basically, this kind of people can replace other people, and it will give the hard competition to other guys. So I think this is the yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for explaining that. And that's a nice analogy. Thank you so much, Samia. I appreciate that, especially for the UI UX. And a lot of people have asked, like, how would we be able to use that? And I see more and more people are using Midjourney and other art generators to show how you can get ideas from ideas for different products and different design from that. Jordan, I'll go ahead and let you speak. And I have a couple of people. Jason, I do see you guys. I'm going to try to let you guys get up here, but go ahead, Jordan.
All right, so two interesting things to discuss about AI replacing humans. The first thing is if we just ignore AI for a moment and think about the work week, like the work week that we're all used to, if we go back a very short period of time, which is 150 years, which, in the grand scale of things is nothing, uh, people didn't always used to work 5 days a week. Now it's the norm, but people used to work 6 days a week, or in some places even 7 days a week. That was pretty normal, and everyone was just working nonstop. Now, what happens is that we discovered that I think that starts with Henry Ford, which he had a completely different interest than getting people free, but basically people couldn't spend their money in the towns, like in the small communities they lived in, because they didn't have the extra spare time. So he did the revolutionary thing of reducing the work week, and that's kind of how we got to today's work week. But uh, this is not the end. Like currently, there are a lot of people testing the 4-day work week, and that is actually working extremely well. A couple of months ago, the biggest study on that actually concluded, the biggest study so far, and there were hundreds of people involved in it. I think it was over 800 people, but I might be wrong on that. Like I wrote about this several months ago, so I forgot. But still, so many different people are actually gaining extra productivity from working fewer hours. Companies are making more money from fewer hours of work from people, because we need that spare time, and we need our brains to wander, to be creative. And the more time we can carve out in our schedules for pure creativity, the more every single creative profession can go even further. And when it comes to AI and the potential for automation, not just AI, AI controls things, but you also need some hardware for a lot of the harder things. Like even now, we can't create one robot that can run a McDonald's. Like this is, although it's very simple for a human, and a human can learn that in a matter of a few months, maybe. A robot would not be able to do that sufficiently. Even a very advanced robot right now would be very difficult to do all that. But still, it's a matter of time until we can automate more and more and more, which is great. And the more we automate, the more we will be able to have time to create different things. And that is absolutely fantastic, because this is kind of the end of the spectrum there. Now, when it comes to the harder questions, the question which is, will AI replace humans? This has the almost certain answer of yes. The matter is when. And the other question, which is more interesting, is how. Because when we think about AI replacing humans right now, we're thinking about the thing that we can see, like someone losing their job and an AI taking their job. And this is going to happen to some extent, as any attempt to automate something, the people who did that thing were no longer as valuable, and that is kind of necessary for progress. But when you think about the future, what happens to humans as a species? AI and computers evolve faster than humans. So what does that mean for us? Are we going to combine? What is going to be? This is really sci-fi now. This is not really something that will happen in our lifetimes, but it's still something to think about. It's not going to be one takes over the other. It's very unlikely that you get a Skynet situation, very, very unlikely. But we'll be looking for more devices like Neuralink and stuff that allows us to tap into that power without actually sitting down on a computer using our phones. And in some time, the border will be so thin that no one will really think about is technology replacing it, because it's going to be such a big part of life. Even now, it is a massive part of life. Like, imagine not having access to the internet. Like, many professions can't fathom that. Like, many professionals can't imagine living in a world. I can't imagine living in a world in which I can't go online and look for stuff. Like, I wouldn't know what to do. And this is going to be super frustrating for a lot of people, because technology is such a big part of us. It's not physically a part of us, but it is part of how we live and how we exist. So it's just going to change how specifically it's integrated into our lives. Yes, sure. But is it going to replace us? Not in the way that most people think. I don't think that would happen ever. And when it comes to, will some people lose their jobs? Unfortunately, the answer to that is yes. But one thing that we can do, and no AI currently in existence can do, is we can adapt super fast to entirely new situations. You can take ChatGPT and ask it, to run a McDonald's. Like it can give you the text to run a McDonald's, but it can't do that. But a human can turn from one thing to something completely different in a matter of days, weeks, sometimes years, but we can adapt to such a massive extent that it is amazing.
Yep. Thank you, Jordan. That is such a good way to explain that. I appreciate it. I'm going to, Jason, I'm going to ask you to speak in 1 second, but I just wanted to say, because it is 2:30, thank you again, everybody who joined us. I really appreciate it. If you share this information with other people and let them know that what we're in here talking about, I'd appreciate it, so that we can get more voices into this conversation to share this information. And we're trying to do this every week. And I apologize if we didn't get to all the different things that I listed. I realized I had way too many topics on there for every kind of generative AI, but there's just so much stuff out there. But please feel free to put any information into the chat that you want to share, any links, any of your work, if you want to show off what you've done, or direct us somewhere, I put in there I put a link for Futurepedia. Thank you, Blueberg. I appreciate that. I also put a link for Future Tools from Matt Wolf. That is where I get a lot of information from also. But it's also a directory. It has one there. And Digital Plus also has a pretty huge, I think they have like 750 tools on theirs. They all have different, and they're not competing with each other. They're just different ways to get this information. You might find the way one explains it different, better for you. So please feel free to use that stuff, and then let's just keep the conversation going. Um, we'll probably go maybe another 10 or 15 minutes. I appreciate everybody hanging in there. And if you do have to run and go, we'll be back next Friday, the same time. And I thank you so much for coming. And all my friends that are here, people that I know, Renzel, hello, I see you there. And, I just appreciate Molly. Thank you so much for coming. I'm trying to see more people, and I apologize if I'm missing, because I'm looking at my phone, missing anybody, but I appreciate everybody that came. But Jason, I'll go ahead and let you speak. I appreciate it. And I think we had a couple more people, and we can probably wrap it up after that.
Cool. Yeah. Thank you, Heather, Jordan, and Taylor for hosting this. And then I did kind of coattail from Justine coming in here. So I think pretty concisely, I think humans will be responsible for the creative part for humans. Right now, AI is good at learning what we tell it to learn, and we just feed it data sets, but I don't think it's going to truly ever understand what it means to be human. But I do have the feeling that we will see the singularity where a computer brain will be self-aware, and I think it's coming. But I still think humans are going to be the creative side of what we want and can drive the innovation for us in a direction that we want, but we'll just use it with the tools of AI. And that's kind of my thoughts on that.
Thank you.
Oh, and actually, there's a book, A Whole New Mind, and it kind of talks about the transition that we're seeing where maybe the creative sides, like the arts, which sadly in culture we kind of devalue a little bit because they don't bring money to the table, but would then become kind of what generates value for us.
That's a good point, and that's probably a valid statement. And I'm sure, like the becoming self-aware, they probably already are. I think they probably already are, but I guess we won't worry. I won't go straight Terminator with that or Matrix. But I'm not making light of what you said. Believe me, Jason, I totally understand people's concerns. And I just figured, well, I think there's a lot more. We've advanced so quickly with even these products that we're talking about today. I think there's got to be a lot more sophisticated and complex stuff that's already out there that we're just not really privy to right now. But in the meantime, let's go ahead and I'll try to do the best I can to learn as much as I can about what's out there, so that if nothing else, at least we'll be in the position to know how to work with it in the future, if it comes down to that being a job, something that will keep you in a job or make you marketable. I think for me, that's why I love learning about it, so that I can understand how to use different systems. And once you start with one, it helps with the others, and learning how to write prompts and things like that. So I think that's a skill that we can actually use and carry into other areas. Kibram, did you want to say something? Thank you for waiting patiently.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So it's pretty impressive conversation here. We know technology has been a game changer in many industries, bringing about a variety of benefits for society, such as increasing communication and improving efficiency. But but it will never change. It will never replace humanists. But pretty much the mediocre, the average performers, especially for example the media industry, in publishing industry, the mediocre, the average performers. For example, if you see ChatGPT and GitHub Copilots, they are being pretty much amazing, but in general, artificial intelligence has never reached animal intelligence, let alone humans. Humans are very, very complex and very powerful. And in my opinion, AI will never replace humans because the subject there is so much, in the market there is overwritten news over artificial intelligence. But they are one of the very breaking news that ever happened in technology. Thank you.
Thank you. That's true. That's a very good point. I appreciate it. And there's just a lot of energy both ways, positive and negative right now. Bluebird, did you want to say something else? You've been waiting. Thank you. Bluebird, I think you have a mic. You might be muted though if you're speaking.
Yes, I'm
No
sorry, it
problem.
was. Okay, I just have one more question. So, are there any sort of AIs out there that can generate videos or at least replace Adobe After Effects? Like, I'm sure many of you know the type of videos Danko, the content creator on Twitter, he's a pretty known guy. The type of videos he makes, the small illustrations and things like that. Are there any sort of AIs that can do that kind of content? I'm really, really curious if there is any. Thank you very much.
Jordan or Justine, I think you had your hand up. Um, I'm not sure which videos that Danco was creating, so I'm not sure which one that we could recommend there.
Okay, so let me start, Justine, and then I'll let you wrap up. From what I have seen so far from generative AIs for video, generative AIs for video work the very same way that generative AIs work for images. That means that any two consecutive frames are not really connected, so to speak. They have like the first frame suggests the second frame that it should be similar, but it's not necessarily similar, which makes similar videos to done calls, which are very precise with very precise animations and whatnot. Not currently possible with the tools that I know about, but there might be other tools. My so far the thing that I have used a lot that can help with short form content creation, but not necessarily with animation, is a tool called Descript. Descript is fantastic for the purpose of uh, getting you to edit text instead of video, which helps speed things up significantly when it comes to cutting footage, especially when you're making stuff for YouTube videos. I've had times in which I had 40 minutes of talking, and cutting this with by hand and cutting this with the script is typically 200 to 300% in speed and how fast that goes, which is amazing. Now, when it comes to actual animations, I've had some success with procedural animations, but I think that a much more basic approach towards that would work far better than using an AI. Like, one thing that was a bit of a joke in the machine learning community when I was learning those things, and there is a free course by Andrew Ng on Coursera, which is one of the best courses to get started with this. If you want to learn those things, go there and just watch it. It's amazing. But when I was learning this, one of the biggest issues was everyone was trying to use the most advanced technology to solve every single problem, and sometimes a simple solution works way better. So for Danko's animations, it might be possible. I don't think you can get a boutique, like you have to get a custom-made solution, but it is possible to make something like this with current tech. But yeah, Justine, maybe you have an even better idea.
Yeah, no, I actually I'm curious about the same topic, so I don't know, maybe we could have a space on this another time. But I just wanted to share something I tried recently. I bought the Insta360 camera, and their app is really cool. Like, they use AI to like create videos, like shorten your videos and stuff, and it does a really good job. So I just wanted to share that if anyone is interested in like using AI editing tools in that way, that you could try out their app. It's actually quite good.
Thank you. Thank you. Oh, I'm sorry. Who was?
Can you please write down the tools that you suggested? Thank you.
Yeah, I'll add it to this chat.
Thank you. Dave, I wanted to let you speak. Thank you for waiting. And then Amar, I appreciate if you would follow up.
Yeah, thank you. I think it's interesting where we're going with this, but what resonated there with me was talking about the Insta360 camera, and when the iPhone launched, how everybody now is an aspiring photographer, and the amount of businesses that are built just on a phone now, whether it be recording YouTube videos or whether it be tweeting every single day. I think what AI is doing is it's breaking down the barriers of output. So many people have so many good ideas, but the difficulty is they may have good ideas, they may have interesting perspectives, but they may not be good at formulating stuff or putting it in order or actually, writing something succinctly. So I think even, when an iPhone launched, that doesn't mean that every photographer is out of business. It also doesn't mean that every single person that owns an iPhone is instantly going to be a photographer and make money out of it. So we're still going to have some people that maximize the potential of any sort of technology that comes out. And we will still have a drop off. I feel like it's naive to think that the world is going to become a utopia and we're going to have more time and we're going to relax. Realistically, big business is going to also use AI to scale their business without the need for people. So I see that there's going to be new businesses built upon this, and it's giving us more power to output more. Social media gave us more power to have direct connection with each other. Now I see that AI is going to remove those barriers of actually communicating more and outputting more consistently. I can say that I have never wrote as much as I have in the last few months using AI as a sounding board, as something to bounce ideas off backwards and forwards. It doesn't mean it's AI's words, but it was like having a friend in the room who never got tired of my constant ideas and constant jumping around, but being able to format that and output that. That for me, I think we're going to see some sort of renaissance of creativity and expression, like we seen with iPhones and cameras, that most people never would go and buy a camera, and it was quite expensive, but it was also quite technical. But I see that hopefully we get the same thing with a written word. I could see an AI who I decide is going to interview my grandmother who's 90 years of age and get her life story and create a family book of her life story. Whereas to actually do that right now, there's a way higher barrier to entry, both time wise and both financially. So I'd say there's going to be a lot more creativity and new businesses built upon it. But also, I think we have to be realistic that, big business is also going to use the scale as well.
Thank you. That's great, Dave. That you summed up a lot. Man, thank you so much. Amar, go ahead.
Yeah, I just had for the folks that asked how to animate, with Midjourney and other things. I was asked to write a short blog post after the Batman one went a little viral, so I will have that out probably today or tomorrow. So, has all my entire process on how I animated everything bit by bit, and so hopefully that'll help folks create stuff. And yeah, I would love to hear what you guys think.
Did you use DID with that? I don't think we. I meant to mention them earlier. Amar, did you use DID?
Yeah, I used DIG for the first the Mortal Kombat character one, which was animating just a portrait. But for the entire story one that I did, that was just a combination of actually some simple tools and then some mobile apps that animate things for you. So as Jordan was saying, sometimes the simple tools that are out there that exist, combined with AI, can really help you out. And so I've just kind of documented my entire process for folks to replicate.
And that's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, we forget we want it's fun to run after the shiny stuff. But yeah, we do have a lot of
I do
stuff
too.
that's available already, and it's kind of like it's just it's overwhelming how much stuff is out there. But it's like,
Absolutely.
yeah, we could probably have a couple spaces a week just about this this topic, and all of it's kind of incorporated together. Oh man, it's so wild. And Amar, I think you might come next Friday. I hope we were going to talk about the story, but I
Yeah.
guess we can continue talking about the way you did the other animation. And I know I mentioned Runway ML, how they're the text to video
Mhm.
that is coming at some point pretty soon, and that looks pretty fabulous. I
Looks
mean,
awesome.
yeah, it's just
Yeah.
mind blowing how much stuff has come out, and it's I can't believe how much it's like we got so much years worth of innovation in technology within the last 6 months, really. And it keeps going. So with all the different changes, and now I'll just mention real fast. I don't know if anybody else has gotten that for Chat GPT. Last night I got my message saying, do you want to upgrade? And so I went ahead and upgraded to the Chat GPT Plus. Then I couldn't get in. That was weird because I thought that was the whole point, and I couldn't get back on. It kept saying that the servers were busy for a couple of hours. I don't know if anyone else had that issue, but that was frustrating. I haven't tried the Bing one. I don't know if I signed up for that. I don't know if you have to get something, but that and whatever Google's doing, and there's just so much happening. It's hard to keep track of. Um, Blueberg, I was gonna. If you, I'll let you say something real fast because I do want to wrap up so we can go and just take a couple final comments from my co-hosts. But go ahead real fast.
Yes, there's just one more question.
Mhm.
What what's the benefit of ChatGPT Plus, and why would I want to upgrade to that?
Um,
Thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. I think what it's listed was saying that you can access it even during busy times, because I know it's been, running pretty. It's been saying that it's unavailable or whatever. So it said you can access it during busy peak times, and it won't slow you down at all. And also there are some new features. Not 100% sure what the new features are that are available to the Plus payment, the subscriptions. But yeah, I'm not. That's basically why I did it, and also because it was cheaper than what I expected too, $20. Um, did you have another question?
No, no, I'll actually share with you guys something that I was able to. I've never had the problem of busy time with ChatGPT. You can say I don't know what happened, but I might have broken the system in a way. So what I would do is I would always leave my PC open whenever I go anywhere. I would just close the tab, and then I would leave ChatGPT open, and whenever I come back, I would refresh the page, and it works.
Hmm.
I like seriously, I've never had this issue of finding the AI busy, and I've been using it for like 2 months now, and I've accessed it during daytime, during nighttime, during sleeping hours where everyone is sleeping. So I would recommend you guys give this a try, and yeah, let me know if it worked. I'm actually curious because I don't know what's going on with me, but I'm not even complaining. This is actually a good
No,
thing. But
you're
yeah,
very lucky. No, mine it'll just stop. It'll just shut off while I'm typing or while it's generating an answer or while I'm typing in. I've had that issue happen even yesterday, multiple times. It was when I was on there. So now I try to hurry up and copy and paste something before even my question before it does that, because it'll say that whatever happened, it'll kind of erase that last thing, and then I have to go through the whole prompt again. But no, I'm hoping that it'll get a little bit better for me, but I'm glad to hear that it's working. That you haven't had any issues. But Taylor, did you and Jordan, did you want to say anything before we go? And I appreciate it. Just say again, next Friday we'll be back same time, 1:30 on this
No,
February
yeah,
17th.
Thanks so much, Heather, for putting this together. And it's been amazing to hear from all of the eclectic group of voices and kind of their experiences or tips with AI in general, because I know that I'm always learning. I think we all are rapidly learning about this technology and how it can help us in so many ways. So thanks, Heather, for it. And I think that we could probably go in depth on like so many of these topics for so long that, you know, we'll never really run out of things to talk about when it comes to AI, especially with the speed of development that it's happening. So yeah, just wanted to say appreciate you. It was really great to listen in on this space and be part of it and see so many awesome people here. Thank you.
Thank you, Taylor and Jordan.
Thanks everyone joining. Like this was a very full room of awesome people. Thank you for pitching in. Thank you for all the cool questions, and let's talk again on this soon. And thank you, Heather, for organizing.
Thank you for co-hosting. I appreciate everybody's help in keeping me on track and just adding to the conversation. Thank you all for the great commentary, the questions, and your experiences. Thank you for sharing all that. And please, thank you so much for contributing to the chat. And please go back through there at any point. At least that'll live on even when the recording. This is being recorded, but it'll live on after that. So we can just kind of come back to that if you're wondering where you saw something. And we mentioned, like Amar, that we mentioned his, I think somebody dropped it into the chat in December, was it maybe? And that's how Asher went back and found it because he remembered us talking about it during one of these spaces, and we can go back and kind of refer to that. So it's a great time right now to share things and to let's just like build each other up as a community. And speaking of community, you know, Taylor is she's the founder of the Sauce, and we have a community building cohort that we're doing right now. It's a 12-week community building cohort that's free, completely free. We're calling it a cohort, but it's really basically, I want to call it a collective. I like that name better. But
I agree with you, Heather.
yeah, so it's like it's
Cohort was just the buzzword that's all around and
yeah,
gets
everybody.
people's attention, but
But
that's
this
what
is
it really is. It's a community that we're creating, but we're also like learning a ton from each other. So thanks for the shout out.
no, right, because it's amazing because we have so many people like us that are running around here trying to figure out how to grow and how to thrive and do different things. And we have all these different experiences and backgrounds and the things that we can add skills to each other. So we figured let's try to work together, and more we learn better together than we would just kind of out there on your own in the silos. So we're just a bunch of people who we have all these different backgrounds, but we're all trying to use our skills to create and put out there and share with the rest of the community in the world. So please, the sauce, I can put that into the chat. After this, unless somebody puts it in there now, please feel free. We have a Discord channel that we do all kinds of different events, and we just have you know, people, they're even talking about jobs. You know, maybe there's something that you could collaborate with somebody on someone about something, or you can just exchange ideas. We have a resource channel where we try to put as many of these links in there. We have, you can make digital art while you're in there. And we have challenges to see. We're making NFTs out of our the creator challenge today that I have to finish, or creator cliche that we're making art for. But please join, and that way, the more voices we have, we can take that out into the rest of Twitter. And just, you know, why keep it to ourselves if we can share it with others? There's no benefit to that, and we can all grow together. So this is all part of that too, and I appreciate being invited into that group because it's like I finally found a tribe, people who aren't just interested in writing for the sake of making money or to make an ebook or a course. We're just doing it because we like to create, you know, we just like to share the information with people. And if we can make some money from that, that would be great, but that's not the whole point, and it would come later. So I encourage everybody to please, if you notice anything with the sauce in our community cohort, it's a free one. It's not like the rest of them. And we're going to do this for 12 weeks. And we have some very, very talented people. that are a part of that, and we're just going to keep kind of growing from that. But I appreciate everybody coming. Thank you so much for staying longer. I'm sorry that we went longer, but this was a great conversation. And next time, we'll try to keep it maybe more narrow, but we'll just see. It depends on what's happening. Who knows what will happen by next Friday, um, that we'll be talking about. So we'll incorporate all that. And if the people that were here speaking, and even, if you're just looking around the room and you see different people, like look at their profiles, go follow them. There might be information that they might have content that is very valuable to you. So please feel free to kind of look through the people that are here, and let's just support each other. And if you have any information, DM me, Jordan, Taylor, we're all, here, just send me a link, a DM, or put something in the chat, and we'll try to get that question answered. And we just want to have a relationship. Thank you so much, guys, and enjoy your weekend. Happy Friday.
Thank you, Heather. Have a
Thank
great
you.
weekend, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you. Have a nice one. Bye.
Bye-bye.